Hey, this is Bill Steffen. Thanks so much for joining me. Take a look at this. I have on my football tie today. I'm kind of trying to bring a little bit of luck to the Detroit Lions. They take on the Vikings and should be a good game. And we got a pretty good day weather-wise coming up today. We're going to kind of go with the chance of rain about every other day here this week, and we'll break that doin for you in a little bit. Hey, in Grand Rapids, this was the coldest day we've had since I think it's April 10th. We only made 46 in Grand Rapids, didn't get really any sunshine here, and it did sprinkle on and off a couple of times. There's a picture of the farmers market in Holland, which was slowed down a bit today by the rain they had there. They had about a third of an inch of rain in Holland, and that was the most of anybody. Most places had less than a tenth of an inch, and you can see the high temperatures there range from 53 at Lansing to a rather chilly 42 in Gaylord, which was the high temperature there for the date. It will be a couple degrees warmer than that here during the day today with some sunshine, which should be nice to see. Well, we had the time change occur here overnight tonight, and here's the new sunrise and sunset time. 7:18 now is when the sun comes up, and it sets at 5:33. So that's pretty early here. It only goes to 5:08. Our earliest sunset comes around December 8th and 9th. But at the current time, we have 10 hours and 15 minutes of daylight. Average high and low temperature, 53 and 37. So we don't get too many days that are upper 50s or low 60s. We're right at that time of year when we sometimes see our first snowflakes of the year, though I don't see that happening anytime soon. Record high for the day, 77. Record low at 18. That was set in 1951. That was the year I was born. And we had quite a snowstorm in the first couple of weeks of April. We had, at one point in time, over a foot of snow on the ground in Grand Rapids. And we'll talk more about that in a couple of days here. Holland Lighthouse picture right there was from Saturday morning. And you can see a flag showing a pretty brisk north-northwest wind there. Waves were running around 3 to 4 feet out at the South Haven buoy I saw. Okay, let's go on and take a look at the lakeshore forecast. And instead of this area, I decided to put up a picture of Chicago where they had a little bit of sunlight. There's a camera out on the Glural water intake. The Harrison Crib is what it's called out there, where the water intake is for the city of Chicago. And it's about 2.5 miles out in the lake. And it's kind of amazing. They actually dug a line all the way out there where they could bring the water in. Interesting. Southwest winds will be increasing out on the lake. I don't know if we can make the 30 knots, but we should make at least the 15 to 20 knot range here during the afternoon. And waves could increase to as much as 2 to 6 feet here during the mid to late afternoon. Those are the buoy temperatures, kind of chilly water out there. South Haven at 45, Holland at 48. We certainly keep track of that as we forecast lake effect snow, which is dependent upon the water temperature of the lake and how much open water is out there and the fetch or distance that the air stays out over the lake being modified. Okay, let's take a look at what's ahead here for us for this week. Dry, becoming breezy today. The Sunday should be a pretty nice day. There'll be a chance of a shower here late Sunday night into Monday morning. We should be dry and fairly pleasant on Tuesday, and then there'll be a chance of showers again along about Wednesday, and then again Friday or Friday night, another round of showers. I don't see any big storms coming our way, though. All right, we got lots more weather to talk about. We'll be right back after this from Ace Hardware.
When your home needs help, you might not know where to start. Why not ask Ace? We're always here to help with Ace Handyman Services. Our talented craftsmen handle everything from drywall and carpentry to doors and kitchens. We're the neighbors you trust to get the job done right. Let's get started. Book your handyman appointment today. Ace Handyman Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Yeah, I was watching one of the football games, and I saw an Ace Hardware commercial, and it played the same music that we play here during our spots, and I kind of perked up, wondering whether I was going to have to start talking or something like that, but interesting. That's what the moon is going to look like tonight for November 2. We're at about 85% full. The full moon actually occurs on Wednesday, November 5 at 8:19 in the morning. And it is a supermoon, which means it is slightly bigger than an average full moon. So you might want to look for that later on this week. Back to the weather here for everybody. And I want to take a quick look at the storm reports. And this is kind of an interesting map. We've got 2 severe weather reports for the day on Saturday. That was all. And they're down in Texas. A couple spots down there had golf ball size hail, and both of them reported most of the hail was much smaller than that, but a couple of stones got up to golf ball size. That was down toward Corpus Christi. And I put the statistics down there for the U.S. for 2025 so far. We had a lot of tornadoes in the spring, and then they tapered off here during late summer and fall. We've been below average here, but 1,526 reported tornadoes. Some of those are probably duplicates, and will have to be kind of sorted out before we get a final total. 5,341 reports of severe hail. That's 1 inch in diameter or greater. And wow, 16,656 reports of wind damage. Fortunately, none of those came from me at my house. We're in pretty good shape here. All right, let's take a look at the severe weather prospects here for the next couple of days. We'll start out with Sunday. No severe weather expected, but there are 3 areas where there could be an isolated thunder shower. One of them is in Tennessee, northeast Alabama, northwest Georgia. And then there's the Carolinas along the coastline and extreme southern Florida. Other than that, severe weather, of course, is not expected. And we'll go on to Monday. And for Monday, the severe weather report looks like this. No severe thunderstorms expected. There's 2 small areas right along the coastline where there could be a thunder shower. Places like Savannah, Georgia, St. Simon's Island, the Outer Banks of North Carolina, perhaps. But again, the good thing is that no severe weather is expected. Well, let's take a look at the precipitation across the area. Another atmospheric river comes into the Pacific Northwest. And as that kind of translates to the southeast, they could see a 1/2 to 1 inch of rain all the way down to San Francisco here next week. So interesting. But a good amount of rain and high mountain snow is expected in the Cascades, Mount Olympus, Mount Hood, places like that. You can see there'll be some rain in the Ohio Valley along the Carolina and Georgia coastline and in northern New England. We have some rain possible here in Michigan. So let's take a look at the Michigan map and zoom into that a little bit here. Here in Michigan, you have a little bit better chance of seeing rain off to the north of Grand Rapids than to the south, but this should all be light green there, just a couple hundredths of an inch, and the most likely time for that would be Monday morning. And let's take a look at the tropics here for just a little bit. Not a lot going on here. Melissa, of course, was the big storm that hit Jamaica. That has raced off to the northeast, and by Tuesday morning, it's going to be south of Iceland. It's not a hurricane anymore or a tropical storm. It changes characteristics and just becomes a windy, rainy, low-pressure center that will give them kind of a breezy, chilly, wet day. And that may get into parts of Ireland and Scotland as well. But after that, nothing's going on. We don't anticipate any tropical activity for at least the next 7 days in the Atlantic, and probably 14 days. In fact, we may be done with hurricanes. So far, the hurricane total is 13 named storms this year. We had 5 hurricanes, and 4 of them became major hurricanes. But outside of poor Jamaica, the hurricanes pretty much stayed away from land areas and stayed out over the ocean. If we do get another hurricane in the Atlantic, it will be called Nestor. But if it doesn't happen, then I guess the Atlantic will be empty nesters or something like that. I don't know, I have to work on that joke. All right, Eastern Pacific Ocean, you've got about a 10% chance that a tropical storm could form where that yellow X is and drift off to the west-northwest. It's only 10% at this point, and we see nothing threatening the Mexican coast. And again, it's possible we may be done with hurricane activity here as well. If not, the next 2 names on the list here are Tico and Velma. So we'll see if Tico appears or if we hold off on that name or any name storms until next year. Now, there is a hurricane in the western Pacific Ocean now, And if we go to the Western Pacific map, you can see it in the red color over on the right, Kalmagi, and it's a nice, well-defined hurricane there, that white blob. It is moving to the west, and if we take a look at the next map, that will show you where this hurricane is going. We expect this to be perhaps even a major hurricane. It's fairly far south. It's around 10 degrees latitude. Very often you don't see too many hurricanes down closer to the equator, but this one will move west through the Philippine Islands, but staying south of the mountainous areas of the island of Luzon. So I don't think they get the flooding problems that they often get with hurricanes. And this hurricane should remain fairly strong as it crosses the South China Sea and into Vietnam and Laos, where it probably will have low-end hurricane force winds with it when it comes on shore here. And after that, we expect another typhoon to form out there, or hurricane, same thing, and move off to the west. So we're still tracking activity there in the Western Pacific. Okay, today's weather looks like this back in Michigan. We're going to be seeing temperatures today in the low to mid 50s. Excuse me. Could be a nice isolated patch of fog in the morning. Humidity 60% in the afternoon. Winds increase to 10 to 18 miles an hour by late in the day, and especially over toward the lakeshore. It won't be that windy in the early morning. It should be fairly calm early. And I think we can get away with mostly sunny. It may be partly sunny for a while in the early morning, and then if we develop a little bit of a cirrus or Q field during the afternoon. But pretty nice day coming up for this Sunday. High temperatures look like this, pretty much uniform across lower Michigan. You'll see readings in the low to mid 50s in inland areas, and about the same at the lakeshore here, and just a couple degrees cooler up there north of Houghton Lake in the upper 40s, some 40s showing up in the UP. And then we take a look at the forecast for Monday, the high temperatures, and Monday's readings will again be up into the 50s. It'll be a couple degrees warmer on Monday. We're going to forecast about 55, 56 here. So that's a couple degrees warmer than average. And again, there could be a shower Monday morning, but I think that should move east of us by about mid-afternoon. If you got something planned for Monday evening, you will likely see dry conditions for that. All right, the 5-day forecast looks like this. Like every other day, we're going to be seeing a chance for showers. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I can't rule out a shower for the Friday playoff football games, but we'll see. And I would assume you've already taken care of the time change. I haven't. I haven't moved the clocks yet. 55 for a high here on Monday, mid-upper 50s here with some sunshine on Tuesday. I don't see anything super cold coming our way. That's still going on. There's some below zero temperatures up in northern Canada and Alaska. So we'll have to keep an eye on things, but no sign of that coming down here anytime soon. But all in all, not a bad day. Any shower activity here Monday and Wednesday should be fairly light. In most areas, probably a tenth of an inch or less. And the 8 to 14 day outlook, as it has been very consistent and correct in keeping us above average over periods. When this you can have a below average day in here, but if you take a chunk out for an entire week, it's warmer than average, and especially that's centered over the central United States. It's kind of near normal in the east, mid-Atlantic, and New England. And in terms of rainfall, our precipitation map shows below average precipitation over much of the South and the Ohio Valley, and near to below average precipitation for Michigan. It'll be a little on the wet side in far southern Florida, but that's in far southern Florida this time of year. You get a thunder shower and it rains for 45 minutes and then it's done. The rest of the day is dry. Some showers in New England, and showers producing some locally heavy rains, especially along the coastline there in Washington and Oregon. So that's a look at this. Let's take a look at some interesting information on this date from Michelle and Alex. North and South Dakota were admitted as states on this date in 1889. So this was well after the Civil War. that they were both admitted and split up. It was Dakota Territory for a while, and then it became North and South Dakota. South Dakota, by the way, is the state that I think this is still the case. It certainly was, that it gets the highest percentage of its energy from renewables. And it's interesting. Well, there's two things about South Dakota. Number one, they have 3 big dams on the Missouri River. So they get quite a bit of energy off those dams. And second of all, South Dakota is a pretty good state for wind energy. So the wind turbines that are kind of marginal throughout portions of the United States work fairly well. And I think South Dakota and Iowa lead the list in terms of amount of energy that they get from wind. But I know that South Dakota was up to, I think, getting 30% of their electricity from the 3 dams that they have on the Missouri River. All right, let's go on. I've been to both states. They're wonderful. I had great time there. Okay, are you a Michigander or a Michiganian? Wow, that's interesting. Now, my first thought is that our governor always calls us Michiganders. So if she's the governor and she's saying Michiganders, it must be Michiganders. But let's read on and see what it says. In 2017, Michigan settled it by passing a law. Are we officially Michiganders or Michiganians? And like I said, we'll go with Michiganders. And that is the correct answer. Wow. Sounds like we're a bunch of geese. And this state has quite a few geese, more than when I first got here. It's interesting how in the 50 years that I've been here in Michigan, I've watched the pheasant population go down and the goose population go up. I remember being here at the house and listening to the pheasants out back in the field out there. And that's not the case anymore. Those really cold winters we had from 1976 to 79 really were very hard on the pheasant population. All right. Let's go on here. On November 2, 1976, Michigan approved the Beverage Container Act. Today, 10 states have bottle deposit laws. Just 10. I thought it would be more than that. How much? And by the way, I remember after we passed ours, and I just kind of assumed that a lot of other states had it. I was down in Texas, and I saw by the side of the road a stash of cans. I mean, bazillions of them, and I kept thinking, "Holy smokes! If I got some time here, I could." Bag all of these and could make myself pay for dinner, but they didn't have a bottle law down there. How much do you get for returning an eligible can in Michigan? Well, you should ask my daughter number 1, who runs Mosh Pit Rescue, and they get a lot of their money from people that turn in cans to them, and they take cans to the Myers is very nice about letting them take cans at off hours where they can help their charity like that. So a salute to Meyer. But she went and took cans there during the Super Bowl a few years ago because she said nobody else would be doing cans. And she was right. So when they go, they take hundreds of them and feed them through. And like I said, it's nice that Myers accommodates them. But they'll get out of the way if somebody needs to get in there and use it. Use one of the return machines there. Okay, it's 10 cents. Yes, indeed, it is 10 cents. And it's been 10 cents for a long time. We have stopped inflation when it comes to the bottle law. That has not moved. It is still 10 cents. Okay, let's go on. Let's see what else we got here. We have another graphic on the deposit laws. 10 states have bottle deposit laws. Yes, in some states, the amount varies by bottle type. That is true. And New England, I think about the same time Michigan enacted laws like this. Maine and Vermont are the highest at 15 cents for liquor containers. Bottle deposits work in Michigan. Michigan has one of the highest bottle return rates in the United States. Well, good for us. It keeps that out, keeps the animals from getting in trouble with them or anything like that. So, salute to us. And I know the returning the bottles helps a lot of charities, not just my daughters. So interesting. All right, let's go on here. We have 3 pictures from people named John, and we appreciate the 3 Johns who send us letters or in pictures here. That is a praying mantis, I believe. And it's looking at something which is up there in the upper right, a bug of some type. I don't know what it is, but well, the bug better vamoose fairly quickly. But really neat picture. And if you get a picture like this, something that's interesting, pass it along to us. I think everybody would like to see that. All right, let's go on to the next one. This is from John Scully, and this is right at Lake Michigan. And you can see we've got some gulls there, some puffy little cumulus clouds there that are getting what looks like a little boost from the water, perhaps, in forming, and bright blue sky, just a beautiful fall day here in West Michigan. Waves a little bit on the choppy side out there, but we were used to seeing that when we have the gales of November coming to call here. They get much bigger than that. Thanks, John. And I think we have one more picture to share from John Doherty up in Benzie County. And isn't that pretty? Note how the sun, when the sun shines on the clouds, they get brighter, and when they get darker. In fact, in today in Grand Rapids, I was noting how really dark it was under the overcast conditions, and I wondered if we had just gotten kind of acclimated to more sunshine here over the last couple of months or so. That today turned out very gloomy, but I did not see any real sun where I was. But that's an interesting picture. It kind of looks like a mountain of gray. Well, it's actually a mountain of gray clouds is what it is. But really a pretty picture up there. It's really neat to stop and when I'm walking at the athletic field, I walk my 2 miles like I did today. I really pay attention to the sky, and you can look so far into the horizon. I bet there are times when I've seen a tall thunderstorm that was probably over Benzie County, and we could see it on the horizon here in Grand Rapids. I have seen storms at least 150 miles away, so it's interesting. All right, I think we're at the end of our presentation today, and I certainly want to thank you so much for coming aboard and staying with us here until the end. Have yourself a great day and a great month of November.